Hey everybody, Jennifer Schaus here. We're coming to you live today from Washington, D.C. And thanks for joining us in the webinar. And thank you to everybody who has accommodated us with the time change for this particular webinar. Our webinars are typically every Wednesday at noon Eastern. Today obviously is the exception. Again, thank you for that. And all of our webinars are complimentary and recorded. You can find them on our YouTube channel. If you go to this YouTube link and subscribe to our channel, there is no cost to subscribe to the channel, and there is no cost to get the alerts when the new webinars are uploaded. So today's webinar will be uploaded usually within about an hour after we finish, and so you can find that recording there. If you're looking just for the PowerPoint, which most of our PowerPoints do have, the links, so you can hop over to SlideShare, log in there with your LinkedIn credentials. That doesn't cost you anything. You'll have access to 600 plus, PowerPoints. Okay, a little bit about us. We are based in Washington, D.C., downtown D.C., and provide professional services for federal contractors who are typically established and revenue generating. Our primary service focuses on GSA schedules, but some of the other services that you see here are part of our offering. We also put on events and conferences throughout the year, so stay tuned for that. And information on that can be found on our website under the event section. Okay, as I mentioned, we've got over 600 government contracting videos on our YouTube channel, and so we do offer advertising options in the event that your company is selling to federal contractors. We've got some other stats there. If you want to advertise in our newsletter, just send us a note to the hello@jenniferschaus.com, and we'll send you our media kit. Some upcoming events and special webinars that are also on the schedule include tomorrow. I believe this is going to be at 10 a.m. This is with our friends over at the Virginia PTAC, which is now an Apex Accelerator. This is 2 hours. It is not recorded. You can register on our website under the event tab. Even though this is a webinar, it is not in person. You'll find it under the event section. We also, next week, will have a webinar with our friends at C3 covering CMMC. Obviously, this is an important topic for federal contractors. This is a complimentary webinar, so we encourage you to sign up and register for that. Again, this link is on the PowerPoint slides. I'm not sure if this has made it to our website yet or not, but if so, it would be under the event section. Next month, with our friends at GovSpend and FedMine, we're doing another GSA schedule webinar that'll run for 2 hours. I believe that will be recorded, but I'm not positive. This one will be. This is going to be covering capitalizing on fiscal year 24 contracts. This is with our friends at Visible Thread. That is later in October. I believe that will be a 1 hour webinar. Again, that's found on our website under the event section. A marketing class a little bit out in the future, February of next year. And for anyone, I think the timeline is getting kind of short here on the GSA Oasis, but if you need someone to review your proposal package, please send us an email and we can assist with that. Okay, now we want to thank our sponsors. So we definitely want to thank our friends at GovEvents. They are the premier platform for posting events related to government and government contracting. You can find all of our webinars and our events on govevents.com, as well as our recordings from our past 600 plus webinars. We also want to thank Tom Johnson and his team at Set Aside Alert. They're the go-to publication for contracting opportunities for small women-owned, veteran-owned, hub-zone, and 8A firms. You can visit setasidealert.com for more information. The Fairfax Economic Development Authority has an online calendar of events and webinars, and we want to thank them for posting our events and webinars on their calendar. The GovSpend, here we go, the Virginia PTAC, they are over at George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia. They offer complimentary one-on-one counseling to established government contracting firms in Virginia on federal, state, and local procurement topics. If you're interested in learning more, please use the links provided to explore services, review homework recommendations, register for live training, and find useful links to agencies and other self-directed learning. Online resources and group trainings are free with no restriction on business location. One-on-one counseling is, however, limited to eligible companies. The Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce has their annual GovCon, their monthly government contracting meeting. It's always the last Tuesday of the month, so this will be Tuesday, September 26th. In order to register, we ask that you please email Alicia Field. Her email address is there at the bottom of your screen. And again, that's the Greater Reston Chamber of Commerce Government Contracting Council meeting, and you can learn about government contracting topics through them. The FBC, this is the Federal Business Council, and FBC events are the ultimate engagement channel to bring government and industry together. 68% of government personnel report that they attend more than one event each year. FBC has worked with government and industry for 45 plus years to create gatherings where ideas are shared and to help government achieve its goals. This includes agency industry days, cybersecurity symposiums, tech expos, and offsite meetings. FBC provides full life cycle meeting planning and event management. With over 5,000 meetings under their belt, FBC has the experience, systems, and personnel to make your next event exceptional. Learn more at fbcinc.com. BidSpeed. BidSpeed is another data aggregator. Do you want help winning government contracts? BidSpeed helps, and you win opportunities from federal, state, local, and public sources in the United States. If you need to find a teaming partner, an incumbent point of contact, expiring contracts, please go to bidspeed.com. If you're looking for a compliance matrix or proposal templates, they've got it all. Want a solution to win with your GSA schedule? Maybe an easier, better way. If you said yes, log in at bidspeed.com. And GovSpend and FedMine, they are the platform that provides the data for us here in our webinar series. And the GovSpend FedMine platform was combined in 2021. The contracting data in the webinar series, again, is provided by GovSpend and FedMine. They're the leading trusted source of data, analytics, and insight for organizations buying and selling in the public sector. They integrate data from 18 federal data sources and sets and create a single convenient database that places key data points at your fingertips. They began as a spending and purchase order database, specifically within the state, local, and education sector. And again, today, the database includes contract opportunities within thousands of entities at federal, state, local, and education organizations. They are the online platform that empowers public sector teams to make smarter decisions. Again, thanks for providing the data in our webinar series. Okay, that is the shout out to all of the sponsors that allow this webinar series to be complimentary. A little bit about the series and our schedule. Again, the webinars are all recorded and complimentary. Find them on our YouTube channel. There's no cost to follow our YouTube channel or to download any of our webinars there. PowerPoints are over on the SlideShare site. Again, no cost there. You can log in with your LinkedIn credentials. Everything in red is what we've covered, and that we kicked off the season on Wednesday, February 8th. We'll finish on Wednesday, November 15th with GlaxoSmithKline. Today we're covering KBR, and then we've got 9 to follow between now and November 15th. You can sign up for these, and you can also find the recordings in the same exact spot, which is on our website under the top 40 section. Okay, we're assuming that most people and companies are logged in to hear about this webinar because they're interested in subcontracting with these larger businesses. If that is in fact the case, then you should be cognizant and aware of the FAR and DFARs, which are the rules and regulations by which the government must abide by when awarding contracts. It covers everything from market research through to compliance. But keep in mind there will be FAR flow down clauses that apply to subcontractors. So you are not immune from having to check some boxes and potentially file some paperwork. So we would suggest that you reference the webinar that we did on the FAR, Part 44, subcontracting, as well as DFARS, Part 244. Some other webinars that we've done on subcontracting, we kicked off this season in early February, covering subcontracting with the primes. I believe that we brought in some guest speakers on 6 different topics within subcontracting. You can find those there on the YouTube link. Over the years, last year we covered subcontracting within all 15 of the federal departments. You can get to those 15 webinars there using that second link that you see in the middle of the screen. And if you're looking more for the tactical and strategic aspects of subcontracting, we've got over 30 webinars on that topic listed here on the bottom of the screen. Okay, some best practices. First, you want to define what it is you do and do well as it relates to subcontracting or even going direct. Try not to be everything to everybody. If you are, you're only going to confuse potential partners and clients. And then find the opportunities where this unique skill set that you have, or a lower price, or a relationship that you have will be valuable. If you're looking for partners, don't rule out anyone that you perceive as a competitor. These companies can easily be very valuable to you, or you can eliminate them from competition by partnering with them. There's many ways to skin the cat here. And there's so many complementary, meaning free databases that are out there, free public websites to search in order to propel your strategy and in order to determine how and where you will be spending your time and your money. Once you've conducted that homework and you've identified the companies that have a footprint in certain departments or agencies where you can add value, we suggest that you go onto the company's website, register for their newsletter, find out what events they're attending, go to Google and sign up for alerts to stay abreast of any news, publications, or newsworthy items that would impact their business. It could be positive news, it could be negative news, it could be they're selling their government division off, it could be a host of activities, mergers, acquisitions, multiple scenarios that you would read about in news articles. So be sure that you are staying abreast of, again, all and any information about the company that you are tracking or the department or agency. Make sure then also that your capability statement is focused on the specific opportunity as well as the partner. You should definitely have your kind of bland, vanilla capability statement, but when you go to speak to these people, you want to make sure that you have something that is customized specifically for the opportunity. As I mentioned, you register on their website as a small business vendor and sign up for their newsletter, find out the events and associations that they belong to, connect with them on LinkedIn where you could find the small business liaison officer who will then help patch you through to program managers. Don't ask them to do any of this homework for you. Don't ask them or don't tell them you're a small women-owned hub zone company. What do you have for me? That is where you should be doing the homework and tell them, basically you should be going to them with a solicitation number and be very specific about what it is you want to do with that company. Okay, so today we're covering KBR. This is number 31 in our list of 40. Here's the link to the website. That'll take you to the English speaking portion of the website. Their stock price, they are publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. The first graph that you see is going to be kind of the maximum, so as far back as we could go in time using the Yahoo platform. And then the second graph is going to be the last 5 years. And as you can see, they're pretty much at almost the height, kind of present day, maybe within the last, let's say, month or so, maybe they peaked at probably, looks like maybe $63 or so. So not as high of a stock price as your Northrop Grumman or Lockheed Martin's. A little bit of fluctuation, but doesn't look, if you look at 2020, doesn't look like they were overly impacted by COVID, maybe a small dip there, but they have certainly rebounded and appear to be growing. The small business registration. So if you wanted to be a supplier or work with KBR, here's the link that'll get you there. Again, don't register there until you've done the homework to make sure that you know that these guys are a good fit in every aspect of of the word fit and of the word subcontracting. When we go to their SAM.gov profile to pull up their UEI, you can see here that they're based in Texas, and they are a for-profit entity. Okay, when we look at their LinkedIn information, they are, again, still based in Houston, Texas. They've got roughly 30,000 employees, 26.5 of which are on LinkedIn. And Stuart Brady is their CEO. He's from Scotland and has very well educated. He's been in the industry for many years and seems to be a good fit. He's based, obviously, at their headquarters in Texas. If you're looking for some of the SBLOs, we've got Deborah Giles there in their, I believe, Texas office. And then Susan, who works at, obviously, it looks like in the contracts division. Doesn't mean that she is focused on small business. She could be doing something with compliance, but gives you a little bit of a start there. Okay, now let's look at KBR. When we think of KBR, most companies are probably thinking that, or most individuals are thinking that they are primarily defense. In fact, they are, but let's first start with their civilian contracts. And you'll see that the bulk of the work is with the Department of Interior, followed by Transportation and Commerce. But the real interesting component here of KBR is noticing the incredible spike in business in fiscal year 2023, which we still have a couple weeks remaining. So they go from, in 2019, about 17.8 million. Again, these are just the civilian numbers, a small dip then in 2020, where they probably lost some revenue, perhaps due to COVID, particularly there with Interior. It goes from 13.3 million down to roughly 5 million. But from 2020, fiscal year 2020 over to 2021, they more than double their dollars there, from 14.6 million up to 32.7, and still in growth mode with fiscal year 2022. Well surpassing that thanks to a generous increase there at Department of Interior, going from 17.3 million up to 65.6 million. So it would be of interest to dig a little bit further into Interior to find out what they're doing. Their dollars also more than doubled at Commerce from fiscal year 2022 to 2023. Same thing with Transportation, more than doubled from 2022 to 2023. So, and Justice looks like it got a nice increase as well, from not even $1 million to 8 million there in 2023. So something is clicking for KBR on the civilian side. So they're obviously at the peak of their performance here in fiscal year 2023 at 135 million. On the defense side, we're going to see obviously much bigger numbers with DoD, Navy, Army, Air Force, and then defense has been broken down so you can see where those dollars are flowing. But if we just look at Navy, Army, and Air Force, you can see we went back to same thing as what we did for civilian to 2019. Again, this data is coming from our friends at FedMine or GovSpend, where the bulk of the dollars in 2019 starts out with Navy, which towers over the others at 235 million. And then if we go to present day, keep in mind these are 3 months behind present day. So we're really looking at this from the perspective of, let's say, July or even actually May or June kind of time frame, where again in 2019 the Navy leads the charge here, where the bulk of their business is, to 2023. You can see Army and Air Force are spending the bulk of their business with KBR. When we break out Department of Defense with the breakouts that show Special Ops, WHS, DITRA, DHA, MDA, and DCMA, you can see DCMA has looks like some accounting errors or something going on there. I'd investigate that a little bit further to find out what those adjustments are for. but it clearly shows that special ops and DITRA, who falls well behind that, but still, decent revenue, is where the bulk of those dollars are. If you look at the totals, these obviously are going to pale in comparison to what we saw on the civilian side. So 366 million in 2019, up to almost 3 billion in fiscal year 2023, which still is not has not been closed out. And then obviously some dollars there with DLA, which are significant, but not as significant as the top four that you see there with the Navy, Army, Air Force, and the other departments or bureaus within DoD headquarters. Okay, on the independent side, a little bit of GSA and NASA. No surprise there with NASA. GSA is showing up pretty strong there on the board in fiscal year 2023. NASA has some significant revenue as well, and this still is, these numbers are going to certainly outweigh what we saw on the civilian side, but not as strong as what is showing on the defense side. So defense is clearly where it's at for KBR, followed by the independent agencies here of NASA and GSA, followed by civilian. The top 5 NAICS codes really are showing as facility support services, and we'll see this actually broken out. The graphs are nice, but then when we get to some of the smaller numbers, they're not really going to present there. So if we dig a little bit deeper, we can see obviously facility support is where the bulk of the revenue is, and we went back here even an additional fiscal year back to 2018. Just to give you more context and more information so you can make better decisions and just kind of see the genesis of where some of these contracts started and where they grew. So some obviously dollars showing up on the construction side, engineering, and commercial and industrial machinery. When we look at contracting requirements, the sub-K requirements go into effect when contracts are valued at $750,000 or more. If it's related to construction, the threshold then is $1 million. So this will be more or less a carbon copy of what we looked at when we looked at the civilian contracts. So commerce, interior, and transportation. Interior with the bulk of the revenue here for the current fiscal year. Followed by kind of almost a tie ball game there with transportation and commerce. On the defense side, more or less looking exactly the same as what we saw on those earlier slides, where this again is really the bulk of where the work is for KBR. Army and Air Force showing the most significant dollars. And on the independent, oops, I think I went backwards, or maybe. Okay, this is, I think, incorrect information. I think this is just a copy. This should be showing the NASA and GSA. We'll go back and look at these slides. And then subcontracts awarded by KBR by agency. Army, as we saw, NASA, Air Force, Navy, GSA, but Army obviously is towering over the others, with NASA coming in and still with decent dollars, and then Air Force and the others following suit. When we look at the industry again, facility support was where the bulk of the money was, followed by engineering, a little bit of R&D, and some of the other NAICS codes. These are just the top 10, so there could be additional industry codes that we haven't captured. So just keep in mind, and we're still looking even at the very last NAICS code, you're still seeing millions of dollars, so some opportunities there. When we look at the actual subcontractors, you'll see some company names here that may or may not sound familiar, including General Dynamics, which is getting 60 million in subcontracts from KBR. So you do not need to be a small or a large business to be a subcontractor. You just need to be a company that has those capabilities that fit the need for the prime. There's nothing that would stop you from being a tier 2 or 3 subcontractor under some of these companies. So it would behoove you to continue the research here. The top 5 subcontracts reported, these are going to be the same companies that we saw. The dollar amounts here start at the top row at 28 million and go to the highest here at 60 million. There's obviously more than this. These are just the top 5. And you can see what the actual the project description was. Support services that they go back to probably facility support, technical services that could really be, you'd then cross-reference that with your sub-award NAICS code, so more or less engineering services. When we look at the GWACs, we've got the IAC MAC pool, GSA's Alliant 2, Navy Seaport Next Generation, GSA Oasis, and then a DoD contract for the DSTAT, which is the Defense Systems Technical Area Task. So you can see where those dollars flow. It would probably be wise to take a look at those contract vehicles and look at the services that they are providing on those contract vehicles and review the pricing to see if it's in sync with your pricing. All of this is complimentary, free data that's out there on public websites. So use that data before you start contacting them, because if their prices are 20% lower than yours, then you probably don't want to be a subcontractor to them. So again, use the data that's out there to drive your decisions and your strategy. Things that are 750 and above, I'm sorry, the subcontracts here that are valued at 750 and above, and keep in mind we are looking for a specific UEI number. So we've got some KBR services and some of their other perhaps subsidiaries. And again, reference that with a contract number. One of these looks like a regular GSA schedule number. So again, more digging is required on your part. We're just giving you a high-level overview to kind of point you in the right direction. A little bit about KBR as we kind of come to the conclusion portion of the webinar. They're obviously operating in science, tech, and engineering, focused on defense, aerospace, industrial, and intelligence. Company is, the KBR stands for the Kellogg, Brown & Root. And then those two companies merged in, I think it was like 1914. I think our next slide will tell us that. But a little bit of history here about M.W. Kellogg and how that business began. And it's important to know the genesis of these companies so you can be intelligent as you're having conversations with them. So Brown & Root, again, founded in 1919, based out of Texas, focused on offshore oil platforms. When they then merged, they started to pull in together more of the engineering, procurement, and construction services. This here is taken from their website, so focused on science, tech, engineering for both government and industry worldwide. They've got, again, 30,000 employees, 26,000 of which are on LinkedIn. They're operating in roughly 34 countries. This is from their website. I thought the two relevant pieces here are the aerospace and defense. You can get a lot more information by kind of clicking through this and digging deeper on their website to learn more. These are some headlines that we pulled from Google News, talking about their work with the Air Force, their CENTCOM contract, rumor mill about roughly a month ago in a potential offer to buy Jacobs government unit. Jacobs we covered maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, Jacobs Engineering, and then potentially perhaps not pursuing that. So again, just be aware that these conversations are happening and be cognizant of how this could potentially impact your work with them, whether you're a supplier or subcontractor or joint venture partner or mentor protege or however it is you are working or not working with them. More information. So they've got a hefty contract here with NASA for $1.9 billion. NASA again is going to be falling under the independent agencies, and then their joint venture for the $719 million contract. More on NASA. and then more with the Army. So again, if you're signing up for these Google alerts, you'll be getting these news articles, and I would encourage you to read them in depth to find out, to learn more about the company culture, what's happening with their overall business, even if it doesn't impact your specific department or agency, to know that, you know, maybe they're selling off there or buying some other company's defense division or civilian division. Again, knowledge is power. So the more that you know, the better equipped that you'll be to have an educated conversation with somebody at KBR, and you should not be asking them to do your homework. They have a press section of their website where obviously that information will be highlighting their success and positive points, where if you go to Google or Bing or one of the other sites, you'll get a more comprehensive view of the company. So that's all we've got for KBR. We appreciate, again, everybody joining us and accommodating the time change. We hope that you will hop over to YouTube, follow our channel, give us a like, leave a comment, download any of the webinars over on SlideShare. And next week, we're going to cover MITRE. That will be Wednesday, September 20th. And again, we close out the season Wednesday, November 15th with GlaxoSmithKline. These are all Wednesdays at noon Eastern. And again, thanks so much for joining us.